Alright, welcome back to another video. We do have the Top Gun Maverick Darkstar aircraft here, easily capable of Mach 10. Today you may notice on the primary flight display we have a distance of 1,896.95 nautical miles. Where are we, you ask? Well, Kilo November, Kilo X-Ray. That's Miramar Air Force Base, Top Gun Flight School. Where are we going? Well, let me bring up the GTN 750 here and we'll show you. We're fully kitted out today with a full payload here, full fuel cells, full fuel for our turbine engines, and we'll wait for the initialization to happen, and then I'll show you where we're going. Our flight plan today, KXMR, Kilo X-Ray Mike Romeo, Cape Canaveral Air Force Strip. It's the same place that they used to land the shuttle at in real life, down there in Florida, Cape Kennedy. So let's go ahead and remove this from our screen, and then we'll work on bringing this aircraft to life, and we will get out of Dodge, so to speak. First thing, of course, I'm going to do is start up the APU so that we have some electrical generation and some air bleed to get the turbine started. I'm going to throw my displays on, of course, there so we can see what we're doing. Let me just reach on down there and go ahead and start the engine, for the APU rather, as I correct myself. Alright, and it's quite a quiet operational APU, that's for sure. So, with that, let's go ahead and start our engines up. To do that, I'm first going to throw on my landing lines just to let anybody know outside that we're getting ready to take off in one of the most exciting aircraft you could possibly fly in. Let's start the right hand first. We'll just flip that to run. And we're waiting on the starboard engine there to spool up to idle. And once we get a successful light off with that, which we have, temperature dropping out of the exhaust, we'll start up the left-hand engine, also known as the port engine. Let's monitor that right now. Today we are planning, as I said, to take this aircraft to the limit of its capabilities. And you'll see, well, you might say, if you don't already know how fast the Darkstar aircraft is for Microsoft Flight Simulator, in the movie, out of the movie, everywhere in between, that 1,800, almost 1,900 nautical miles is going to go by in quite a flash, because we will be going somewhere north of 5,000 miles an hour. So we have 2 successful light-offs. Everything is go for green. At this point, what I'm going to do is taxi this bird out to the runway and get right back with you. As always, consider hitting that subscribe button if you like what you see. Throw a comment below, and let's get on with the video. Alright, so we're right here on the taxi hold short line. we're going to go ahead and proceed on to the active. Darkstar is obviously, quote-unquote, a top-secret aircraft from the film, so we're not going to announce our departure because we do not want anybody knowing what we're up to. Naturally, this would probably be done at night so as to camouflage flight operations, but we have to see what's going on for the entertainment purposes of the video. So let's go ahead and pin those firewall throttles there all the way up, and then go ahead and activate the afterburner. Since we can't see across the nose out through the front there, no windows to see, we'll just use our synthetic vision on our center primary display. And we're pulling back just like that, positive rate gear up. We're on the afterburner, so we're going to take it a little bit further, and then we'll back off out of afterburner. I'm going to go ahead and make a right-hand turn here. Let's get towards our magenta line there. That, of course, would be... So they want to let us know that we are history. We're gone. So as I was saying, primary flight display, bottom right-hand corner there is our magenta line that we're going to track towards. That's out towards Cape Kennedy. So we'll let them know. Thanks a lot. And you have a great day. Let's get on path here, and then we'll go ahead and bring up the thereabouts rough flight profile here for our path. So what we want to do here is get up to 90% the speed of sound, 30-degree nose up. So let's go ahead and get this Mach number up here to 0.90. And currently we're at 20 degrees nose up. Just a little bit more than 21, 22. You can see that in the center upper display there of our primary flight display. So what we're going to do is treat this flight like a roller coaster ride. We'll go up really high, flip over on our back, nosedive down, pick up some velocity, use that momentum, turn right side back up, and then once we do that, we'll give a tug back on the stick to bring the nose up towards the sky, and we'll essentially treat this as gaining momentum by using gravity and speed to pull us back down towards the Earth. Once that's handled, we'll go back to the path here for our flight trajectory, and we're going to do the same thing. It might need to be done a couple times. I won't do this by the textbook, but we need to get between Mach 3.0 and 4.0. At that point, we'll activate the fuel cells and the scramjets so as to get into that Mach 10.0 number. So we're already at 27,000, 28,000 feet. Nowhere near Mach 0.9. That's okay. We'll start doing our little tricks now. So we're using the primary flight display to essentially fly the aircraft. Obviously, we're inverted. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. There we are. Inverted, headed straight back down. And there's our 0.9. So I'll go ahead and pull the aircraft out of afterburner now. Let's take a peek at some level flight here and reevaluate how we're handling it. Of course, we always want to steer towards the magenta line. So we'll keep that pitch right there. So we're going to maintain 0.90, more than enough momentum now, 0.96% the speed of sound, 96%, of course. And then we're going to go to about 30,000 feet, and we'll do that roll again till we're at about, let's see, 20 degrees down. Mach 1.5, we'll start pulling back. So we need to reach Mach 1.5. So let's go ahead and go full throttle and start the climb. We're at 19,000. We'll go towards 30. Let's go at about 20 to 25 degrees. Nose up, all while maintaining constant awareness of our magenta here, because we do want to get to the Cape before we run out of fuel. So afterburner's on. We're losing a little bit of speed. That's okay. I'll nose down just a bit to maintain as close as we can to 9.0. It's about 18 degrees, nose up. And let's go ahead and roll on over to our backs there. And let's pitch down. Remember, we're looking for 20 degrees nose down. Right about there. We'll turn right side up. Remember, we're looking on the top center of the aircraft there for about 1.5. And if we have to do this a couple times, that's okay. I'll go ahead and preemptively turn on the fuel cells here. I'll uncage the scramjet motors for high altitude flight. There's 1.5. Now what we're going to do is pull back. And let's go ahead and look at our flight trajectory again. So we're looking for 20 degrees nose up or thereabouts. And the aircraft should steadily accelerate. 1.6 and climbing. So as I said, we're going to do this all the way up to 3, and then we'll turn the scramjets on. At that point, the regular motors that breathe the dense atmospheric air at these lower altitudes will essentially be turned off. 1.72 when climbing. Let's go outside. We're at 1,038 knots and accelerating as indicated on our primary flight display. Nice shot of the moon there. As you can see, we're already supersonic. Prepare your ears for the boom. There it is. Faster than sound. Sound. There's 2. Coming right up. And then, so we don't get too much altitude, we'll go ahead and we'll improvise. And we'll lay over there on the back again. We'll pull down, gain a little bit more momentum in the downward pitch to help us accelerate towards 3.0. All while maintaining that we don't pull too many positive or negative G's, because we do not want to black out on a top secret fighter jet or spy aircraft, whichever you would designate it as. So as you can see, the roller coaster up, down, it's all about inertia. Now you can see our speed really picking up here. 3.0, I'll get into a positive angle, and then I'll go ahead and I'll turn on the scramjet motor here. Okay, now there you go. Keep your eyes there. That's the scramjets turning on. And the engine's heating up. And there's some buffeting. And now look at our speed on the left, 27, 28, 29, 3,000 knots, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can't even keep up. Look at our Mach meter. Let's go up to higher pitch angle. Scramjet's coming up over 2,700 degrees. $78,000 feet and climbing. 81, 2, 3, 4. We're climbing at 14,000 feet a minute. There's some condensation off the nose. Heating of the external structure. Ladies and gentlemen, we are gone. 120,000 feet and climbing. 4,300 degrees Fahrenheit on the scramjet motors. Our port and starboard engines have effectively shut down. And we are looking good. Mach 8.8 and climbing. Look at our true airspeed, 5,600 knots and climbing. Our trajectory looks very good. Our mileage is dropping like a brick in water. We are essentially mostly out of the atmosphere. At this point, we're more like a spaceship rocket than we are an aircraft that flies through dense atmosphere. And there's the 10.0 Mach. Remember, as they said in the movie, in so many words, you don't want to go any faster than 10 point whatever. But we're not listening. 10.1. Remember, that's when maps started getting in trouble. We're currently capped out at 134,000 feet. And one of the reasons you want to keep your eye on your magenta line there is because when you're going at an indicated 5,400 knots, it takes you hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles to correct your course. So let's go ahead and get some more external views while we're at it. That's what we're here for. There you go. As you can see out there, we left from that coast, Miramar. We are up here almost orbiting like a space shuttle. You can see obviously the curvature of the Earth and the scramjet motors powering us as we head towards the Cape Kennedy. Glorious sun. And all the cloudy skies. So, back in the cabin here. Let's go ahead and look out that window. What a view to behold, huh? Let's go ahead and I'll grab you some external views. We'll do a little bit something more cinematic. Throw on some cool music. Hopefully you like it. Yeah, let's try that. Alright, welcome back here into the pilot in command position. We are actually approaching quite quickly, as you can see. Minimal editing here other than for the cinematics, but we are approaching 800 nautical miles and rapidly descending. Still at Mach 10. Fuel is more than good. 5,400 degrees stable on the port and starboard engines. Fantastic. So everything's looking a-okay. We're going to start slowing down at, I would say probably about several hundred miles, maybe. Because 5,400 miles an hour takes a long time to slow down. So we will obviously operate this in reverse. We're going to run the scramjets from anywhere between Mach 4 and 3, and then below that we'll basically take them offline and bring up the regular engines so as to fly in the denser atmosphere, because the scramjet motors basically need to compress air at a super accelerated velocity. That's how they work. So, without getting into the scientifics, which I know very little about, I just read a thing or two about a thing or two. What can I say? So at this point we would be probably well past or out over the inland portion of Louisiana, maybe even getting towards the panhandle of Florida for sure. It's quite about a lot of clouds out there, but that's okay. It adds to the atmosphere. So, that being said, that was just a quick explanation of this flight. Let's go ahead and I'll fast forward time for you cats so that you don't have to wait for 660 nautical miles. Once we're in range for slowing down, I'll go ahead and hit that re-record button and bring you back. So, 1 second for you, 2 seconds for me. Alright, so coincidentally, we're a little bit north of our magenta track line here, but it gives us the opportunity of looking out this window before we start slowing down just how fast, since we're flying on this angle, you can see we are actually going through the thin atmosphere, way up here at 130,000+ feet. 5,362 knots, as indicated there by the GTN 750 I have on the left. You can see you can get anywhere in a hurry with this craft. Quite awesome. So we're making up that turn to the right here to get a little bit closer to, yep, Kilo X-Ray Mike Romeo, NASA Shuttle Landing Facility runway. And we are down to 400 nautical miles. So as I said, you can see, still on the GTN. And quite frankly, the primary flight display, you see the coastline here. And you can kind of see another, more overhead, of course, point of view for where we are on this map. Sort of just puts things into perspective as to how far we traveled. Now remember, we left from California, and I have not done very much editing on this whatsoever to compress time. I know that I said a thing or two about a thing or two, but I promise you it was not that much. Maybe a minute or two here and there. So like I said, I'll start slowing down and losing altitude fairly soon here. Let's get to about 250 nautical miles, and I'll start bringing this bird in for yeah, final approach, because at 5,000 miles an hour, almost everywhere you start your final approach. So we're reeling the magenta back in here. And I'll just pull the throttles back to idle. Quite standard. What's nice about the GTN is I get the layout there for the runway orientation, the heading for both thresholds, northwest and southeast. So I pull back the throttle a little bit, and you can see our point of view gets slightly shoved towards the front of the aircraft due to deceleration. And that is indeed the way you do that, aka fly the Darkstar haphazardly across the entire country in how long? Not long. So we're still maintaining about 6.73 Mach, 3,600 knots. I'll wait till we get over the land side of the Florida Gulf here, and then bring those throttles essentially back to idle, hopefully. Now this plane is not a lander, meaning it is not like your average fixed wing Cessna aircraft. You need quite a bit of speed so that you don't stall, because presumably its shape does not promote low speed flight very well. And like I said, the other challenge is having to look out the side windows to orientate yourself, as well as trust your primary flight display for where you're going, because other than that, it can be disorientating. And let's check our altitude. Still at 134,000 plus feet. No need to rapidly descend yet. In the event that we overshoot our runway, we'll just make some circular patterns as we descend in altitude. So let's go ahead, and I'll bring the throttle back a bit here. And we'll start heading down. And you definitely want to bring the throttles to idle, excuse me, fairly slowly, because this plane will throw you right into the front of the cabin here if you're not careful. So we are now indeed overland, as stated by our GTN 750, and almost heading directly towards Kennedy. So you may even see on our primary flight display there, those little set of islands. Those are the Merritt Islands, for lack of a better term, also known as Cape Kennedy. Coincidentally, when the shuttle comes into land from the west coast, as it's coming in through the atmosphere, they do come in from, obviously, the Pacific Ocean. So this obviously isn't identical, but kind of makes you feel like you're in a space shuttle, I guess. I've never been in one, but I would assume. And then we'll start tracking straight down the coast of Florida, right down the middle here. Just to drain off some more speed, get back into the range of the air-breathing turbine engines. And I'd like to adjust my view here. So we're getting to that Mach 4 and descending. And I'm going to go ahead at this point and turn the scramjets off. And you can see on our left-hand engine display there, our regular engines are starting to pick up RPM and start up again. And our scramjets will turn off shortly. We'll pitch 10 degrees down. And let's go ahead and make a left-hand turn. Let's grab some more externals while we're at it. And that sound you hear is the engine exhaust, of course, because we are truly 3 times faster than the speed of sound. But the scramjets are working their way offline. And we're beginning to lose altitude there, so I'm going to go ahead and pull a gradual turn here. We do not want to pull too many G's. And that's pretty much 90 degrees sideways as we make this turn. Of course, you can see now we're still at Mach 3.28 and decelerating. This is how long it takes you to turn at this speed. We are essentially halfway down to Miami, and we just got to Florida. You may have heard that huffing and puffing there. That's us pulling them G's. And you can hear the wind noise quieting up just a bit. Let's go ahead and we'll zoom in now. And we're basically, as it says, 53 nautical miles, give or take. But who cares? We're not keeping track. And we're accelerating, well, rather, excuse me, decelerating now, 1.6 Mach. And rapidly descending into the clouds. Throttle's still at idle, 23,500 feet. 48 nautical miles to go. Let me reposition myself here. And just about to come through subsonic flight, 0.98, and decelerating. So we are no more supersonic, but we're still going pretty quick. 46 nautical miles. So let's turn back up towards the coast. We'll grab another external view. I'll turn the fuel cells off here. quite a sight. Alright, so once we're on final approach here, I'll go ahead and bring you guys back. I'll cut out the boredom of lining up for final approach and just give you the beans right there when we get to the landing. So be right back. Alright, welcome back. We're basically on final here. For those of you who may have noticed, Kilo X-Ray Mike Romeo, our original destination, is not the NASA facility Space Shuttle Landing Complex, so we are going to relocate to Kilo Tango Tango Sierra, which is indeed still in the Merritt Islands and where we actually want to go. So, you can see I left the GTN 750 up there for the purposes of being able to get our situational awareness. And let's go ahead and slow her down just a little bit here. We're going 300 knots. You can see in the top left of our primary flight display there how that's lining up. We are out over the Atlantic, and we're not super far away. That's kind of why I want to give you a little bit of perspective with the GTN. That way you can see, and it's not just dullness out of a carbon fiber composite panel in front of our eyes, whatever is out there that we can't see through. Namely, we only have two side windows. So let's go ahead and go external to put the gear down for some fun. Awesome. So, back to the GTN 750. That coming into our view right now, just to the northwest of KXMR, that actually is Kilo Tango Tango Sierra, where we want to land, or where I initially wanted to land, but we came from California. Give me a break, I don't know where we're going. It's also nice that we have the situational heading here on the GTN so that we can sort of line ourselves up. Now, there are no flaps for this aircraft for slow flight. That is one of the other challenging things, as I said earlier. You sort of have to really keep your airspeed up here, because if you get too slow and wallowy, this plane will drop out of the sky quite rapidly. So what I'm doing is I'm using the GTN, and I'm sort of visualizing it in my head. If you place where we are overhead with the GTN, and you correlate that onto the primary flight display, you can sort of pinpoint how far out you are and how high you have to go based off of the water and the land masses. Obviously the water in blue, land masses in green. So we're keeping our speed up just enough that we don't want to be out of range. Of course, if you look out of the right side now, that clearing on the island there, that was Kilo X-Ray Mike Romeo, where I originally said. But as we came from California, I can't be responsible for everything. We're pretty much right on track here for the runway approach into the shuttle landing strip here. Let's see if we can maybe even get a little closer here with the GPS. We'll put that range map at about 10. So there we go. Of course, that's the zoom. And there you go, you can see it just off the nose. Gives you something to look forward to, literally. But there's no challenge in landing externally, is there? So we kind of have to do this without a front window view, don't we? Came all the way from California. I mean, we might as well live it up, huh? It will eventually show up on the primary flight display. I'm going to go ahead and zoom the GTN in here just a bit. And so one thing you can do for a little bit of perspective is you can rock back and forth, right? That way you can grab yourself a view for some orientation of where the runway would be. And we're just about lined up. So we're going to monitor our speed. And now that I see it out the window, I can also use that in conjunction with our primary flight display, pretty much right in the center of our crosshairs there. We already know our landing lights are on because we saw it externally for fun. And we already know that the gear is down. There's the old orbiter processing center there on the right out the window there. So I'm going to stay right around 200 knots for this. But it's very easy to underspeed and overspeed because this aircraft is not a glider, and it's also got a lot of power, so you can essentially really smoke this landing by going too fast, as you can see, already up to 270 knots. But this is another reason why we have such a long landing strip here as our choice, because we want to make sure that we have plenty of room to stop. 200 knots. And this is one of the longest paved runways in the world, so that also is working towards our advantage. And right down. We'll go ahead and give these brakes some application. And let's just roll for a little bit and grab some more externals, huh? There you have it. This is the Darkstar Miramar Air Force Base to the eventual Kilo Tango Tango Sierra NASA landing strip. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.